A filmmaker with ties to the royal family has claimed Prince Harry and Meghan Markle risk fading into obscurity, in a similar fashion to Edward and Mrs. Simpson. Nick Bullen, CEO of True Royalty TV, drew comparisons between Prince Harry and his great-uncle Edward VIII, who abdicated the throne in 1936 and wrote a royal tell-all memoir years later. Prince Harry is set to release his own book lifting the lid on his life in the royal family next year. Bullen told Fox News he believed the Duke and Duchess of Sussex could end up being bits players and awkward guests if they continue to alienate themselves from Prince Harry's family. Edward, the brother of King Vi and uncle of the Queen, gave up his title and the throne to marry American divorcee Wallis Simpson. After the abdication crisis, the pair moved to France, where they remained until their death. Award-winning documentary maker Bullen was speaking ahead of the release of one of his programs exploring the similarities between Harry and Edward VIII. He said the fact Edward and Wallis Simpson fell out of favor offered a stark warning to Harry and Meghan. It may seem far from now, but it will happen. What will happen to Harry and Meghan 10 years from now? Will they be the same stars they are now? Some historians have suggested that this is unlikely, he said. He added the big lesson from his documentary was that Edward and Wallis faded into obscurity, eventually turning into bit players and awkward guests at dinner parties in New York. And while Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are high-value commodities in the showbiz world now, the filmmaker suggested it might not always be the case. How long will Harry and his wife, Meghan Markle's value stay at such a high level? He said, all eyes have been on Prince Harry and Meghan Markle since their decision in 2020 to step down as senior royal and move to Canada, and then Montecito in California. Their bombshell interview with Oprah Winfrey in March 2021, their lucrative deal with Netflix and their respective book deals have kept the couple in the public eye. Prince Harry announced he would be publishing his memoirs via Penguin Random House in 2022, writing as the man he had become rather than the prince he was born. Experts were quick to draw parallels between Harry's foray into the literary world and his great-uncle, who penned A King's Story in 1951. Bullen said he expected Harry, who still has a major impact on the royal family, would be critical of the firm in his biography, which was bound to be scandalous. But the documentary maker tempered his remarks by saying that while Edward VIII liked to say he still wanted to be king, he was actually at ease with his abdication and the consequences it brought on his status. Bullen said he didn't think Edward VIII ever regretted forsaking the throne in favor of marrying Simpson. Described by the Daily Mail at the time as a work that was unique in the history of literature, the former King Edward VII's autobiography was published in September 1951, just 6 months before his brother King George V's death. In his ghost-written book, A King's Story, The Memoirs of H.R.H. the Duke of Windsor, Edward spoke of how, in believing that his birth and title should not set me apart from other people, he felt as though he was in unconscious rebellion against my position. The closing words of the tome centered around his decision to give up the throne so he could marry Miss Simpson. He spoke of how love had triumphed over politics and that although it proved to be his fate to sacrifice my cherished British heritage, he drew comfort that the decision had long since sanctified a true and faithful union. Royal historian Robert Jobson told Mail Online that the work was much more important than the memoir which Prince Harry is set to publish next year, because as an ex-king, the Duke had more gravitas than the Duke of Sussex. Harry revealed via publisher Penguin Random House yesterday that he was writing his book not as the prince I was born but as the man I have become. The work is expected to delve further into the breakdown in his relationship with his family and brother Prince William, which contributed to his and his wife Meghan Markle's decision to give up their royal duties and move to California at the start of last year. Royal commentator Richard Fitzwilliam said the Duke of Sussex, 36, grew up knowing he would have no defined role within the family, which led to him resenting not being taken seriously, despite all his military and charity work. He added that the royal's marriage to Meghan Markle undoubtedly changed him, but his rivalry with his brother long outdates his relationship with his wife. Speaking to Entertainment Daily, Richard said, "Many think that the fact that William grew up knowing he would one day be king and Harry had no defined role, led to rivalry between brothers who were considered inseparable. George, known as the Reluctant King, was crowned following his brother Edward VII's abdication. His coronation was held at Westminster Abbey in May 1937. In the run Up to the ceremony, he enlisted Lionel Logue to help him conquer his stammer after his private secretary introduced him to the Australian. 1 month after George's coronation, Edward VIII married American socialite divorcee Wallis Simpson at the Château de Cannes in Mons, France. 4 months into their marriage, the couple went to visit Nazi Germany as Adolf Hitler's guests. Meanwhile, King George's popularity soared as a wartime monarch, and he became a figure of stability despite previously being marred by his speech impediment as well as a reputation for being unprepared. The boon to his reputation was aided by his decision to remain in London as the bombs of the Blitz rained down on the capital. George died of ill health in 1952, leaving his daughter Elizabeth, 25, to take over as Queen in a spell that has seen her become Britain's longest reigning monarch. Harry's reputation was as the royal wild child for years. William's image was far more serious, however he behaved. Some say Harry resented not being taken seriously, despite his military service and charitable work. Harry now believes he was trapped as a member of the royal family and that William currently is but doesn't know it. He added that the long-reported rift between the brothers was serious and that Harry's marriage to Meghan unquestionably changed him. The rift between them, long reported and first confirmed in the ITV documentary about their South Africa trip, is public and serious. It was his marriage to Meghan which unquestionably changed him. He added that the Fab Four idea, that saw Harry and Meghan work with Prince William and Kate Middleton, was a disaster. The brothers have been separated by a rift that began in March 2019 when William reportedly threw Harry and Meghan out of Kensington Palace over the alleged bullying of staff, with the Sussexes breaking up their joint foundation and setting up a new office at Buckingham Palace. The claims emerged in Robert Lacey's book Battle of Brothers, published before Harry and Meghan went on Oprah to accuse the royal family of racism and claim they were abandoned when the Duchess of Sussex was suicidal and 6 months pregnant. Harry first publicly said his brother and father were trapped by the institution of monarchy, and that feels really let down by his father Charles. In a series of astonishing claims, Harry revealed the Prince of Wales cut off contact with him in the wake of his decision to step away from the firm. He told how, during his time in Canada, his father refused to answer his calls as tensions within the family rose and their relationship soured. The royal brothers recently reunited for the unveiling of a statue of their late mother Princess Diana to mark what would have been her 60th birthday.